Just then, what seemed like some sort of explosion erupted. But once again, it wasn't where we were. It was wherever he was, as the entire room he was in shook. Sparks flew from electrical conduits all over the place. You could see everything rumbling. "What in the hell was that?" I shouted. "Gabriel, focus," he said angrily before coughing a bit. "I know you are concerned with it, but do not. There are more important things. My fate is already set. What you need to focus on is your own. I have set into motion the events that will lead to a new future. Knowing the course that my own life would follow, I began to throw stones into the river of time, alter events in order to facilitate a future in which you are capable enough to handle the problems that I myself could not. Throughout the course of my life, I have lost everything. Everyone who has ever meant anything to me has long since died, worn away by time, destruction, and death. They flow through my fingers like sands from the hourglass, and here I sit, alone. But all that was taken from me can be saved by you. Your life does not have to follow the same set pattern as mine. You can change it, Gabriel. Rewrite history. Undo the wrongs that have befallen me and the world. Save humanity itself. But in order to do so, you must learn how to use the powers that I have granted you, that I have spent my life developing. I cannot tell you any more about what is to come. The foreknowledge would only disrupt the equation, work against you. But with the weapons that I have given you, it should be enough to change things. No matter what comes from this point forward, trust in yourself. Believe that you can do it. That destiny has no hold on you. That the strings of fate do not bind you. That even if the universe itself tells you you failed, you can tell it to go screw itself. Believe you have the capability, Gabriel. Fulfill your place in the cycle. Hopefully, you will be the last that is necessary. I'm tired of this speech, the doctor said, stepping forward. It appears you're in a bit of trouble, old man. And seeing as you're a bit lackluster for time, perhaps you should get on to the I get my powers back segment. That is, before whatever's coming for you gets there. Yes, he replied. Of course, Doctor. I haven't forgotten about you. And as far as the deal that I'm offering you, it's very simple. You need a way to restore your powers, to gain back what was taken away. But that cannot be done under the circumstances that exist in your timeline. But your timeline does not have to be set. As I've said, it is eventual that I will one day fold back the pages of time, there as I did within my own life. When this happens, I will return to a previous date in history, a date before the events that fractured the magical essence of the earth itself and all those who reside on it. The magical energies that construct and flow through all things on earth will be as they were. In other words, Doctor, all you have to do to get your powers back is to ensure that I reach the end. Once the cycle repeats itself, once this new iteration of me opens the gate, flows back through the pages of time. All you need to do is travel alongside him. Once you find yourself back in the pages of history, in a time before the cataclysm that shattered magic, the essence of the universe will reassert itself, and the magic within you will reframe, returning to its original state. You'll get it all back. Not just those small samples that I gave you. But in order to achieve that goal, you're going to have to help me reach the end. If I die before I get there, then all hope of you regaining your abilities falls away, and you're stuck as you are. So that's the game. And even though you can tear open the pages of history yourself, you're not going to do so just for me. If I want to go back in time, you're going to force me to help this new iteration of you. And since he has yet to accumulate that ability, I have no choice but to stick around and keep him alive until he does. Yes, Doctor. You're beginning to see it. You don't really have a choice but to stick around. You have no choice but to make sure I win, because my victory is your victory. For completely different reasons, but in the end, we both get what we want. I do miss having a worthy opponent. You seem to have caught me in an inescapable game. Very well. As you wish, I'll see things through here. But only for my own sake. Yes, the powers that I've given you should give you all that you need to be of ample use until such time as I fulfill the cycle. Just then, there was another explosion. Once again, the room rattled. Sparks flew from control panels and instruments all over the room that he was in. But this time, there was a very powerful directional wind that blew across the long gray hairs that ran down his body as his eyes moved to the side, locking on to whoever or whatever it was that just broke into the room. And you're here at last. Of course I am. You didn't think that you'd get away with it, did you? A voice said from outside of the line of sight of the camera. I began to hear footsteps approaching, until finally a figure walked into view, stepping over some rubble that had scattered on the ground. There stood a woman. She wore all blue attire. It seemed to be some sort of high-tech battle suit, sort of like the skin-tight combat suits that Emily likes to wear, except this one looked much more high-tech than the ones she prefers, and had a fair amount more armament on it. In her hand, she held what looked like a large rifle, but she didn't appear to have any trouble holding on to it, despite its size. Gabriel Moon of Universal Construct 447C985, Universal Pattern, the Indomitable. You have been found guilty of multiple incursions upon the temporal construct. Your actions, behavior, and reckless disregard for time are endangering the fabric of the universe, of all universes. And so it is by the order of the Council of Time that you be executed, the woman said as she raised the rifle to his head, pointing it dead at him, no more than an inch away from his face, to which he barely even acknowledged it. Do you have any final words before your sentence is carried out? The woman said, not unflinchingly. The Temporal Council. What a joke. Protecting the fabric of time by killing an old man already on his deathbed. Your Council of Time isn't even the highest authority. You're simply underlings to greater powers, and you aren't even on the council. You're an underling to other underlings. And the idea that this action of yours is to save our universe is laughable. I have already spoken to your superiors. They already know what befalls our universe. It's destroyed, completely annihilated. There's nothing left. And yet you stand here about to kill me in order to save a universe which has already been designated for destruction, said to be beyond salvation, to pose too much of a risk to allow to continue to exist. And yet you stand here about to kill me because I hope to change this, to fix the problem, to stop the horror that befalls our universe, and thus save it from a dreadful fate, which would nullify the situation entirely. And yet they still dispatch you to stop it and claim that they're saving time. It's completely absurd. You, the Temporal Council, the 7 divine entities, and the all-force above them, you can all go screw yourselves, he said, as a smile broke out across his face, and he looked up to me through the portal. It's your turn, number 6, he said, smiling at me through the gate. Let's show them what we're made of. And just like that, the woman pulled the trigger. There was an explosion of light of every color you could think of, like an endless rainbow, scattered out in all different directions, as his entire body evaporated into this rainbow flurry of light before coalescing into a single ball and simply blinking out of existence in a flash of white. Execution complete, the woman said, lowering her rifle before turning to look at the screen, or the gateway, or whatever you want to call it, looking directly at me. So, he has already attempted to re-begin the cycle. Gabriel Moon, you have been deemed too hazardous to allow to continue being a functioning part of the universe. Therefore, your termination has been authorized on behalf of the Temporal Council, the Multiverse Council, and all the forces that dwell over them, for the safety of the universe and the multiverse. You will be destroyed. I'll see you soon, she said, pointing the gun in the direction of the screen. And with a single shot, suddenly the entire thing simply blinked out of existence. An explosion of blue light erupted. I could feel wind in the room rush out as the gateway vanished, and I stood there in absolute horror. Did I really just watch myself die?